It is my pleasure to introduce Ben Radcliffe. Ben is a veteran in the VFX, film, and digital production industry. He has worked as a digital artist supervisor on major film franchises such as Avengers and Transformers, specifically during his time at ILM. He's also worked at several other production houses such as DreamWorks, ImageWorks, Disney, and MPC. Currently, Ben is a technical specialist in media and entertainment at Unity Technologies, where he works directly with key studios to improve the capabilities of the engine through the advancement of the art and science of visual effects and animation with real-time technology. Ben will be speaking about the road he is paving towards real-time virtual production to empower directors and artists to amplify their creative vision. Please welcome Ben Radcliffe.
All right, hello. I'm gonna share my screen. All right, hello, welcome. I call this talk The Road to Real Time. As I said, I'm Ben Radcliffe, Media Entertainment Technical Specialist based out of London. Here's my contact info if you'd like to contact me after the presentation, benra@unity3d.com, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Light and Alchemy. And as they said, you know, this is what I've been doing. I've been working in the industry for about 20 years at all these amazing places. I've been very fortunate. I've been at Unity about 2 years, working with all types of company, helping them, you know, use the power of real time to transform their content creation pipelines. And here's some of the projects I've worked on over the years. I started my career off on Jonah, a VeggieTales movie, and the last film I worked on before joining Unity was the last two Avengers films. And this is my motto for the year, is embrace the chaos. I'm gonna try and do some experimental things today. I'm gonna try and show some interesting demos and whatnot. So please be patient with any technical difficulties. And you know, as you know, this is the end of the year. I've kind of turned this this talk into kind of like a retrospective 2020 of, you know, all the amazing things I've seen and all the things I'm looking forward in the next year. I'm going to start with a little bit about Unity, just so everyone has, you know, a context for what I'm going to talk about. And then I'm going to talk about some exciting projects that I've seen this year, and then some of the technology that's enabling creators. And then I'll go into some of the stuff that I'm really inspired by and some of the stuff I'm working on. But for those who don't know, Unity is the world's leading platform for creating and operating interactive real-time 3D content. And as a motto at Unity, we believe the world is a better place with more creators in it. And I know I certainly do. And this is kind of what I'm going to talk about today. Just for people who don't understand, we're going to talk a little brief about real-time 3D. You know, what is real-time 3D? You know, at Unity, we think, you know, the world, you know, current content is very static. It's 2D, it's flat. And we believe that the world is interactive, the world is 3D, and your content should match a representation of the world. So, you know, like I said, the retail experience right now is very flat. The internet, we've kind of hit peak internet, we've hit peak iPad, we've hit peak cell phone. And, you know, that's what we're really focused on, is, you know, changing the way we see and interact with the world. And, you know, again, we believe that the future isn't asynchronous, it's real time, and it's not 2D, it's 3D. And Unity, we are more than, people always ask me about Unity as a company and how we compare to rival companies and rival game engines. And people don't realize we're more than just our Unity editor. We are a complete tech company with, you know, machine learning solutions, cloud computing. We're an end-to-end tech company with solutions across the entire spectrum. And the runtime engine is kind of the thread that binds everything. But for those who have never used a real-time engine, I just wanted to get crazy real quick and show you this. This is, let's see if it opens. This is our streaming platform, Furios, and this is a actual real-time experience hosted on the web, rendered in the cloud. Give it a second to install in the cloud, and here we are embracing the chaos. All right, and this will load real quick. And I could be running this off my machine lab, but I kind of want to get crazy today because I'm really obsessed with this Furios. But this is what we mean by real-time 3D. This is actually living, breathing. This is a build. This is a 3D build with real-time animation, real-time rigging, real-time lighting, all living in the cloud. It's not rendered pictures. And I think that's the world I come from, is visual effects and animation. is you're creating pictures and then you're combining those pictures with sounds, and you're getting a flat static experience. But this is a living, breathing experience, and this is kind of what we're focused on is the future of content creation at Unity, where I can change this and I have autonomy and I can move this and rotate it. I can change the lighting. And it's no longer about making pictures, it's about making living worlds. And we're going to get back to this, but I just wanted to start off with that and show you that example. A little bit more about Unity. We run on 20 platforms. We have 1.5 million monthly creators, and 50% of top mobile games are made with Unity. And I think this is really what's exciting about Unity is, we say creation at the speed of thought, but it's really about, the platforms. And as I was saying, Unity it's a real-time experience where a traditional DCC, we'll make assets and then generate pictures, is we can be deployed to 20 different platforms, whether it be PlayStation, whether it be VR, whether it be mobile. And there are 3 billion times apps created with Unity are downloaded per month. So it's huge. We're in 190 countries and territories have Unity creators. We're in 44 offices around the world. We have 3,000 employees, and we won an Emmy a couple of years ago for our collaboration with Disney, which I'll talk about in a bit. And just a few more things. These are our company values. Best ideas win, in it together, going bold, and putting users first. And we approach our values with empathy, respect, and opportunity. And the core message, I think right now in time, we're a pretty special place doing pretty special things, and I'm pretty excited about it. So where are we now? I was not sure what to call this part of the presentation. I was going to call it the problem, the situation, but I've decided, where are we now? And I want to start with this quote. I'm really inspired by this. This is from Sir William Sargent, co-founder and CEO of Framestore. Our vision for the future of our industry is storytelling across all the media of content delivery, from mobile to IMAX and headset to theme parks. Stories originated in one medium need to be able to travel across all of these and be adapted creatively and technically for each. And this is the biggest trend I'm seeing. Everywhere I go, whether it be a big studio or an individual creator, it's really about storytellers, wanting to build these rich worlds and, these incredible characters. And, the people want to live in these worlds, and they want to, interact and know these characters. And I think, great examples of that right now would be, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, these characters live across so many mediums, and, from comic books to films to animation to video games to VR and AR and all these emerging platforms. And these stories live across all these. And other great examples are obviously the Star Wars universe, where you can, hang out in Galaxy's Edge, go home to Disney Plus and watch the, latest Star Wars film, or watch the Mandalorian, and then go and play in Quest and Harry Potter. And even sports teams are kind of, following this trend of, people want to live in their sports world. They want to, in the off season, they want to wear their team jersey and they want to play FIFA. So I think that's really what we're exploring at Unity. And as I said, I work in the media entertainment division of our company. And what that really encompasses is film and television, advertising and marketing, which is everything from commercials to interactive retail experiences to AR, events and experiences, location-based entertainment, theme parks, and sports. And that's also, that encompasses esports, but also encompasses stadiums as experiences. I think that's, something we haven't looked at in a while, but, having these rich, full stadium experiences is something that a lot of, teams are interested in. And the way we create content is changing. And I think we've seen that. I think the way we've created content is changing very rapidly recently, but I think we've all seen that more so than ever. I never would have imagined, working for 8-10 years at Disney and Lucasfilm, that people would be able to work on, Star Wars and Marvel projects from home. But, we have to adapt to the times. And I love this slide. The way media is consumed is changing. I think this represents me. I'm a hardcore film guy. I will watch anything on 70 millimeter at, the Prince Charles, or I'll go to any theater to find the projection with the best blacks. But these days, my consumption habits have changed. I have a small daughter, so I tend to watch things on my iPad under the blankets, just like these two guys. And then there's this as well. I'm going to talk about this. This is an actual spot done with Unity, but I think, I just said COVID has changed everything. And I think, the way we create and consume content has changed more in the past year than it has in the previous 10. So I'm going to talk about some really exciting things, I think, that inspired me in Unity. My video is not playing, but that's okay. Here we go. Now it's playing. Coco VR, it's a couple years old, but I always like to start with this presentation because I think what it represents is really important and people don't realize. I think this was great. This was an experience done by Pixar and Magnopus, but it was pioneering in multiple ways. One, they were bringing film assets in and decimating them and changing them and making them run real time. And this is a collaborative VR experience made for the Oculus. And basically you dress up as a skeleton and you go explore the world of Coco. And we'll pause that while I continue to talk. What was really interesting about this was that they started to review it. The people in Pixar started to review this and they started to wear their headset and they started to review it in the actual collaborative experience. So I've heard anecdotes from people who worked on it, like Ed Catmull was, wandering around as a skeleton giving reviews. But what it really showed is, one, you can collaborate and review things in VR, but two, it showed like how this could be used as a filmmaking tool. And I think the people at Pixar saw a lot of value in this. And from what my friends tell me, they're doing what they call, I guess, a virtual location scouting, where they're going in and looking at the sets and the scale to get a sense of where they need to put their money and energy and what will they'll see in camera. Will it be in light? Will it be in shadow? Will it be in depth of field? And, I think my friend was telling me like he got to put his VR headset on and look at the sets of Toy Story 4 from the perspective of Buzz and Woody and get that sense of scale. And I think that's pretty amazing. Ready Player One, this is a film I got to participate in. I think this was a pretty amazing experience. But I mean, this, what else needs to be said about this? This was, the world's greatest living director shooting a movie about VR in VR. And, I worked on this, and this is, from a techie standpoint, this is one we used a path tracer on, and it was just heavy, dense CG environments. And, we went into it not knowing if we could, get it done. I just worked on it for a brief bit, but it was these massive, 100-hour renders. And a lot of the decision-making had to be deferred to the beginning. And only by deferring this decision-making to the front of the film, like in a traditional film, would, you'd be able to get that budget on the screen. And one little anecdote I always have to share, I don't know if it's true or not, but I always have to share it, is, Spielberg, I guess, in the flow was, wearing the HTC Vive, and he kept having to take his headset off to drink Diet Coke, and it kept disrupting the flow. So someone took a Vive tracker and took a cylinder and then built a representation of his Coke can so he could just reach for it and continue drinking his Diet Coke in VR, which just blows my mind. It's so meta of like, Spielberg drinking Diet Coke in VR, shooting a film about VR, and it blows your mind. Lion King is, I think, another amazing example. This was done by MPC in London in their virtual production platform, Genesis. And, I think they really took this to the ultimate conclusion of virtual production where, it is an animated film, but they shot it. This is, I think, the best representation of shooting like a traditional film, but in VR, where you have Caleb Deschanel, legendary DP, shooting it like you would shoot a normal film. And I think it really showed in the film. And I found it kind of jarring at times of, seeing these animals, and it felt like a nature film. The long lenses felt like a nature film. And they're swatting away the flies and they're scratching, and then suddenly they bust out into Hakuna Matata. So it was a little surreal. This is Baymax Streams. This is our collaboration with Disney that we won the Emmy on. And this was Disney television animation pretty much reinventing their production pipeline from scratch of how can they use new technologies to tell new stories. And they look at the entire process of how they create assets, how they conceptualize, how they create concept art, incorporating VR and tools where they could start to create right in 3D and then film these stories within 3D like it's filming on a regular set. And then these stories were extended on these mobile games as well, utilizing the same assets for content creation. So it's pretty interesting. Baobab the Crow. Oh, let me go back. Oh, my slide's not playing. Oh, here we go. I love this. I love these guys. I used to work at PDI DreamWorks, and this is Larry and Eric from Eric Darnell, the writer creator of the Madagascar films. And so he formed this company called Baobab to tell stories in this new medium of VR. And I think this project, they have a great project called Baba Yaga coming out soon. But I thought this was pretty special because it's a 40-minute experience that it's free on the Oculus. Download it, it's amazing. But you get to be in this story world and you get to experience the story with the characters. But they also shot a 2D linear version and released it on YouTube. So they shot a 40-minute VR experience, but within it filmed a 14-minute traditional animated film. So it's kind of, crossing both those mediums, which I think is really special. Just a couple more examples, but Fixie the Fox, I think this is another one that really inspired me recently. I've been out to the studio. It's Nordic Entertainment in Stockholm, and they are using, they're like a broadcast platform, and they have a small team, but they were able to create their own original IP using all the great stuff about real-time motion capture, VR, virtual production, face capture, and they were able to create their own original IP and tell their own unique stories to their own people, which I think is really special. Traditionally, they'd have to outsource or what, but they were able to do this all in-house, and they did versions of this in Swedish, Danish, Finnish, and Icelandic, and I think one more. And they were able to do a voice tracks and face cap for these different languages, all in-house, which I think is incredible. Sugar Creative is a company in the UK that we work with that's amazing. They're doing all kinds of different properties, but they're telling stories in augmented reality. And this is just a brief look at their Dr. Seuss project. They were also working on a Wallace and Gromit one, but I think this is just really special because it's classic children's book that have become animation and that are now becoming characters in the real world. And let's see, Pure Imagination. This is one that I showed at the beginning. Was this is a creative agency, and they have studios all over the world. They have a studio in California and a studio in India. But when the COVID crisis hit, they were able to partner with Lego to create these PSAs in record time. Like in traditional time, commercial could take a month, could take 2 months, but because of using real-time collaborative technologies, they were able to create a series of COVID-related wash your hands PSAs in, I believe, 2 weeks and get them on air, when time was of the essence. And I think that's powerful as well. And this is one I'm going to get crazy and show you on. This is one of the ones I'm most excited about in the past couple of years. I'm going to try and open this up. This is Edmund and Lucy, and I'm going to open this up on our streaming platform. So bear with me. This might get crazy, but this is a company based out of France, and they're using real-time technology to tell stories, to create animation content and tell stories using all the real-time technologies. And this is Edmund and Lucy, and they showed this at Annecy last year. And you guys are a tech-savvy audience, so you're probably used to this stuff. But when they showed this at Annecy, let me make sure I get this playing. This wasn't designed to be streamed, so I'm kind of going a little rogue on this. Let me get it playing. But they showed it in Annecy, and the audience didn't know what to expect. They were not used to real-time technology. Technical issues. Here we go. There we go. Let me get a little, well, I'll leave the volume off for now. So this is actually, again, this is, please excuse any performance, but this is, I'm actually streaming this on the cloud because I'm getting super crazy with it. So this is Edmund and Lucy, and this was created in Engine, and it was built as a living world, and it was shot as a living world and as an animated world. But what's really special about this is, this is an EXE living on the cloud. And when they showed this at Annecy, they rotated the camera. The entire audience gave a visible gasp. But this is, this was just a proof of concept. And I think what's really special about this is it just highlights a lot of incredible things you can do with technology. For example, you could change the environment. You can have multiple environments living here. And then, you can use all the incredible technologies that are available to, real-time engines. So I'll show you another interesting thing, and I can change this real time. What you can't hear, let me get the volume going. Well, let me go back. I missed that part.
See you later.
So the language is actually embedded in this. So let me rotate around. Let me see if I can get that newspaper. What's interesting about this is the newspaper here. If you look at the type of the newspaper, the language is actually embedded. So as you change the type, the language changes. So this represents a lot of interesting things.
What's wrong? Canada, free play.
I'll turn the volume off now. Oh, and I actually turned the sun. As you can see, the sun is moving in the background as well. But what's exciting about this, it shows like how you can localize and customize content for the viewer. You're no longer, dependent upon rendering this once as images and sending it out. And, I work with a lot of companies that make apps, that regionalize their apps, big, chain restaurants that'll, oh, I get a double guy there as I'm getting crazy with it. But let me change this real quick. There we go. And we hit pause. But what's exciting is like, I work with a company that makes, apps for a big restaurant chain, and they do it in 200 countries and 100 plus content. And the content is pushed out quarterly, and it's regionalized, and it's in all these different languages. So for example, if you have this app and you live in France, you might be getting, content based on the Minions. If you live in California, you might get content based on Frozen. And I think that this is really exciting about the future is when you combine this, you don't no longer have to render it as pictures and then compress it and stick it on the cloud. This is a living, breathing exe, and we can host it on the cloud with content management systems. And the characters can be customized to the region, and it can be customized to your preferences. One question I always get asked is, can we make the weather match the weather? And it's like, yeah, we can. We can access a database if you wanted to put that work in, and then have the weather. And it's all these exciting things about, how we can personalize and regionalize and customize and get the content we want. And the storyteller can tell the story they want to tell, but the little subtle differences as music and theme and environment, can be regionalized. And, I think that's one of the biggest trends I see is, stories that resonate with us in UK or in North America may not resonate to audiences the same way to audiences in Asia or Africa or South America. So this is what's really exciting for me. Cool. So all right, we'll come back to that in a bit, but let's go into some of the tech. And I'm going to keep this high level. You guys are a tech savvy audience and you're in a bunch of tech talks, but I want to talk about like the democratization of storytelling and democratization of tech and, all the stuff that makes it possible. And this is one thing that comes up. I mean, hopefully you guys all know about XR. We use XR as a blanket term, and I get a lot of questions, and I saw this on Reddit, so I included it. What is XR, and what is the difference between VR and AR? And I love this. It's like VR is Space Jam or Mary Poppins, where you are in the cartoon, and then AR is Roger Rabbit, where the cartoon and the characters are in your world. And just about for Unity, we build on all these platforms, including OpenXR, which I think is exciting. And it's so super simple. And I just brought up the XR Interaction Toolkit because it's the simple democratization of tools where people don't realize how easy it is to bring their content and view it and do location scouting in VR or explore set dressing in VR. And, you get for free now. 2 years ago, you would have to write your own locomotion system, your own UI system, your physics interactions. Where now with the, a downloaded package or plugin, you kind of get all this stuff for free, which is really, really exciting. And then there's also tools, Editor XR. I'm not quite sold on this yet. I still like to work in, top front side perspective view like a DCC, but you can work in VR and you can set dress in VR and you can location scout and you can make changes in VR and work collaboratively in VR. And we have our Editor XR tool that we give away for free. You can explore. And then there's AR platforms. And I think this stuff is really exciting. Because it's, not so much as development, but all the stuff you get for free from AR Core and AR Kit. And this is our AR Foundation sample if you guys want to play. But what's really exciting about this is you get stuff for free. You get image tracking. Just an overview. AR Foundation is kind of our abstraction layer. That and Interaction Toolkit, it's kind of our abstraction of how can you develop for multiple platforms and take, a subset of the best features and, go platform agnostic. So we take all the stuff from AR Core and AR Kit and we abstract it in what we call AR Foundation. So you can build for any platform. And like I was saying, like the important stuff about this is like you get AR Kit face tracking and you get body tracking. and cloud anchoring and all these amazing things, which allows you to do, I'll show you. Well, face cap, I think this is, I'm playing with this a lot now. I'm building characters with ARKit is, this was out of reach. I'm a lighting TD by trade, so I'm a terrible animator, but I want to tell my stories. So now I can use off-the-shelf democratized technology in my content creation. And with 51 blend shapes, I can do real-time face capture with just the latest hardware, like the latest iPhone. And then there's body tracking. This is my colleague Dan Miller made this, and he put this on Twitter, is he made an AR body tracking app. So he's recording this data, and then he can bring it into Unity and then retarget this motion onto other assets and other models. So this is like the most democratized motion capture solution I've seen. And virtual production, you guys have probably seen a lot about that. I mean, that's a kind of a blanket term encompassing a lot of things, but it's really, you could take all these different technologies to bring, filmmaking to traditional filmmaking to the world. And I guess for virtual production, let's just leave it at, controlling all the traditional things and, tracking a camera in the real world. And I think that's what's exciting. Like I was showing with Edmund and Lucy, you can build a living, breathing world and then film it like it's a live action television set. And I have a huge background in animation, episodic animation production. And that's the kind of thing is being able, I was doing a virtual production shoot where I think we shot 60 shots in 2 days. And then, some of my colleagues tell, stories where they've shot 300 shots in 2 days, as opposed to pre-vising or keyframing cameras, which I think is very exciting. And then motion capture too. This is also, I think this is where it gets powerful, is when you combine these things together. It's like the Reese's cup. It's like peanut butter and chocolate. There's combining a Rococo motion capture suit with a VCam, and then you're filming that story. And this is a couple of years old, but I have the same setup in my flat right now in this COVID crisis. So I can put on a Rococo suit, record my motion, and then I can go back and film myself and get the shot that I want. And it just, the democratization of it just blows my mind. And volume capture, I think, this is coming as well as complete 360 capture. This is just a test my colleague Kajiro did, where he took, the volumetric video and he took it to Unity, and then he, applied particles to it and did some playing stuff. But I think more exciting for me is the depth cameras. I have this Azure Connect DK at home, and I've been playing with it for doing all kinds of things. One, I'm doing real-time interactive visual effects, but two, I'm also doing body tracking with it. So I can, again, capture that data. And I was watching the London Institute of Fashion, London College of Fashion recently, where they're taking historical data. They're taking video footage from catwalks because there's no fashion shows. So they're taking historical data, they're doing body tracking on it through some series of machine learning, and then they're recreating fashion shows from historical models in VR. And I think that's really important. This is what blows my mind, is basically YouTube has become the world's biggest motion capture library now. And then I just want to go on some tools too, where people don't realize that engines are development platforms. So when you think of making a game, you're really building a piece of software. And so a lot of people are building tools in engines for creating tools. I showed Genesis, which is MPC's virtual production platform, but also Tiltbrush. That's just an application built in Unity. I love Tiltbrush on my Quest. I love doing Tiltbrush sketches and just prototyping and coming up with ideas just very quickly in my living room when my daughter's asleep. And then there's tools like Gravity Sketch, which is 3D through asset creation. And I think industry look at this as like, how do you create physical shapes in the physical world with physical tools at scale? And I think this is exciting. And then there's Tavori. This is a VR storytelling tool. So this is built in Unity and as well, but I mean, this is enabling people to go in and take assets and put their assets in, tell their stories, frame them, film them, light them, and then output them. And I think this is really exciting. And then I think I saw this recently, and this is, the Mills latest it's Mills Scout, where they can, get lens information. So they can go on set, lens things, look at it through the aperture, the ISO, the frames per second, the t-stops, all that. And they can also put their AR, using AR technologies, they can actually put the CGI elements in the shot, and they can visualize locations with what it would look like with the CG elements in it. So the director doesn't have to wait 3 months to see the CG elements in the shot in context to make decisions on framing and whatnot. So that's really cool. So now I want to go into stuff that's really inspired me, and like I've showed all this like technology and the companies and what they're doing, but I wanted to show what I've been inspired in the past year is like how individual creators are using these technologies to tell stories in their unique styles. And this is Nathan. I want to start with him, and I put their links to their Twitter if you guys want to check it out. But this is Nathan Thomas. He actually works at Unity now. We hired him. He's a ex-ILM animator, and he worked at ILM Vancouver. And he made his own animated series. I met him at Annecy last year where he was pitching his animated series. And we ended up hiring him, and he's working in our Vancouver office doing all kinds of unique stuff. But this is his side project. This is an animated series he's making with his son, Jack, where his son, Jack, is coming up with stories and recording the audio. Let me get I think I turned the audio off for this, but that's okay. So he's recording his son's voice, and they're making these stories together, and then they're releasing it on the internet, and he's doing it real time, and he's a world-class animator, and he's rendering it with RTX and ray tracing. And I just love the idea that Nathan and his son can sit down and make stories and tell them and share them with the world. And he's documenting this entire process of how he does this on the internet. And he has like 90-second making ofs, and he's getting his friends to do complex Houdini simulations as well. It's starting to get bigger and bigger in scope, but I love it. This is Cedric Babouche. I'm probably saying his name wrong. And this is his project Dordon, and this is with Umation. I can't pronounce their name, but these guys are doing an incredible thing too. These are storytellers and artists that are using real-time technologies to tell their story. And he's combining traditional watercolor. It's not a watercolor shader, but he's actually painting, scanning it in, and building these watercolor assets. And then he's building this immersive world that you can explore real time. And you can go into his watercolor paintings. And I'm just so blown away. I follow him, and I contact him. I was messaging him yesterday, but yeah, just that you can go into his paintings. I love watching his process and then seeing how he can bring it to life in a real-time engine. And I've even seen tests of this running on mobile, which is amazing. Oliver is one of the most inspiring guys I've met. He is making his own feature film, or a short feature called Heist on Alpha, and he's using it entirely a studio of one man using Unity. And on the side, he's doing all kinds of crazy experiments with renderers, and he's built his own chroma key studio. You can see him on the lower left riding a train in real time. This is a real-time chroma key for him going in the train. And this is one guy, and he's doing it himself, and he's streaming it live on Facebook 2 hours a day of him just making this stuff in between his movie experiments and his audio. He's playing drums and guitar, and he's also collecting electronics. And he bought the panel, the actual old school video panel that they used as a prop in Star Wars to shoot the Death Star. But you can see his little democratized chroma key setup right here in the lower left, and that's amazing. Chris Bouchard, he's another amazing guy too, where he's telling his stories, where he's built his own virtual production platform. Like I said, like Unity is a platform for building tools. And it kind of reminds me of the early days of computer graphics where PDI and Pixar, where you had to write your own software, and you have to have these massive teams to build your own renderer and build your own animation tools, where now you can have one guy. He's built his own virtual production platform so he could tell stories the way he wants to tell them. And he's incorporating virtual production, volumetric video, all at real time. And the results are absolutely stunning. And it's one guy. Ruben, he's another amazing guy. He's a artist based out of Japan. he lives and works in Japan, and this is a music video he did, and he's combining things like photogrammetry. He's taking 360 cameras and 360 video, and then from that making photogrammetry, and from there generating points and particles. And he's doing this all through shader programming. This is all, it's not even shader graph, it's actually HLSL. He's programming all this in. And I think this is absolutely stunning. And he's actually taking these worlds and he's putting them in, into VR, so he can explore these worlds in a VR headset. I love everything he posts online. It's absolutely inspiring. And Kajiro, this is Kajiro. He works for us in Unity, and I highly recommend you follow everything he does. He basically is a one-man machine shop. Like, he just does everything. Any kind of input device that comes out, whether it be MIDI controllers, Azure Connects, depth sensors, any kind of input you could bring into Unity, he basically writes his own, software to integrate into Unity, and he throws it on GitHub for free. And you can see some of his tests. That's like a little visual effects graph demo on the right using depth of field and bokeh. And then on the left, he's using real-time depth cameras to drive visual effects and particles. So I think that's really incredible. And this is some of the stuff I showed earlier. And this is Furios. I put some links here if you guys want to grab them. It's just CVMP _ heretic and whatnot. I put a few, but I'm really excited about this as well. And this kind of doesn't fit in the presentation, but I'm just really excited about it. And this is what I showed earlier. I just think these technologies, I'm going to show you how I'm using it, but this is like YouTube for interactive 3D. This is my own personal account, so you'd have to pay money to upload your own content. But all you do is take your build from Unity, zip it up, drop it here, and it uploads like it's a YouTube movie. And then you have all these, and it all streams real time. I'll show another example of this in a bit. But if you guys want to try playing stuff on my account, the links are free, so you can play with these interactive experiences over streaming on anything. I play them on my MacBook Air, full RTX demos, and it's just, it's on the web, so it doesn't matter. So we have the classic Unity demos, Atom 1, Atom 2, and Book of the Dead, and they're all just there for you guys to play with. So what is the plan? So this is how I'm going to end the presentation of like, what am I doing with this? And this is where I'm going to spend 2021 putting my money where my mouth is I'm taking all these democratized tools. I got, VR headset, I've got Azure sensor, I've got a Rococo suit, I've got a Kung Fu headband, and I've got a 360 spatial audio recorder. So I'm working on democratizing content, and this is what I'm focused on in the pandemic is really making this technology. The thing about 2020 I've learned is it's not really the way I consume content. It's really become more about authenticity and accessibility, and I want to bring that to creators. So this is my mission statement, and this is what I want to focus on. And I'm working with this amazing art director, Ali Chinari, and together, and with a couple of guys, Matt Gamble and Matt, I'm forgetting Matt's last name, but my other colleague, Matt, sorry, nervous. But we're working together. We're creating this real-time animation project. We're calling it the Real-Time Rascals, and we're going through this process of building these characters, and they're all built with rigs and the face caps, so we can use things like, Azure body tracking or Rococo suits and ARKit. And I'm giving this away for free. So I'm going to put this all in the Unity Asset Store. And I have a little frog in a mocap suit, so I can wear my Rococo and drive his animation to his tiny real-time motion capture suit, and he can drive other characters. Motion capture will be like a real-time motion capture inception. But again, we have face characters, and I have 4 characters I made. So I've made a panda. I'm giving multiple variants, facial expressions, Jasper the Badger, facial expressions, and a rabbit. And I've also made some environments. So it's going to be 4 environments, 4 characters using all these technologies I kind of talked about, so I can democratize it and give it away for free, so people can experiment, put their hands on this technology and start telling their stories today. They don't have to, learn how to code, or they don't have to learn how to write shaders or how to write interfaces for VR. It's all about democratization and props so they can customize and build their world. So I have 4 environments: a city, a field, an old towny house, and an actual movie studio, so it can get very meta. And that's what I want to explore next year is how can, like I did, like Edmund and Lucy, how can we create personalized content? How can, I can create a living, breathing world? Can I make a piece of content where we change the characters or we change the costumes like you would in a game? Can we update that content from a content management system on the cloud? Can I change the animation? Can I change the environments? Like I said, change the weather and have multiple environments. I love this one. Can I change the lens, depth of field, anamorphic? So many talks I see, it's like, in the future, you'll be able to watch movies, but you'll also be able to shoot it yourself. Like, I don't know. That sounds like a lot of work. I don't know if I really want to shoot it myself as much as I don't really want to, work in craft services on set as well. But yeah, I can explore, day-night cycles, sun direction, temperature, change HDRIs, experiment with this stuff. And just a pro tip for those aspiring lighters, always 3/4 backlit, magic hour. That's always what the director picks in the end. And I'm going to incorporate, grading and all this stuff. And it's also language and text. So yeah, and this is kind of what I've been working on. So I'm going to open this up again. And this is the character. And this is something I'm working on now that came out of this is I'm actually working with the team now. Matt Gamble, Matt Shell, and Ali Chinari. We're working on this together, but he's going to kill me later. So I'm actually in the process of building this now, and I'm reviewing these asset turntables. And this is something I did in my career where I just rendered hundreds and hundreds of turntables for Transformers and Avengers so we could validate these. So I built this, instead of rendering these out, I built this in Unity. I did it with visual scripting and I threw it on the cloud, and then I can share a link, and you guys have the link and you can experiment with this. But I can stress test the rigs. I can put animation cycle and I have it hover over so he rotates. I can also change the HDRI real time so I can look at it in different lighting conditions. And I can change the variants as well. So I can go through his Mad Men years, or I can look at him in the motion capture. And I can look at it from any angle and any lighting condition. And this is something we're looking at. I'm going to incorporate face shapes and the other characters into this as soon as I'm done with this presentation today. But yeah, this is how we're actually collaborating. We're reviewing this stuff. I'm updating this file with the latest builds, and then I'm pushing it out to the team so we can all review it and talk about it together. And this is, I think, really exciting. And it's there for you guys if you guys want to explore it. So here's my plan for next year, and this is the journey. I'm calling it the road to real time, just like my presentation today. And the project itself is called the Realtime Rascals. So hashtag road to real time, hashtag Realtime Rascals. But this is kind of my plan. So come take this journey with me. I'm just going to be exploring. I'm giving all these assets away for free. I'm going to be doing a series of learn content on our Learn platform. I'm also going to be doing webinars with SIGGRAPH, with Visual Effects Society, Immerse UK, and I'm going to break down the process month by month and just kind of go through and how all these technologies I talked about today affect storytelling and content creation. And I'm going to teach you to do it and enable you to create your own stories as well. Yeah, and if you'd like to learn Unity, shameless plug for Unity, this real-time animated storytelling, I highly recommend it. It really gives you all the basic pieces of the puzzle. But I'm going to be working on this platform using my Real-Time Rascals and democratizing storytelling as much as I can in 2021. And that's everything I want to show. So thank you very much. And if you'd like to reach out and questions, reach out to me, benra@unity3d.com, or follow me on Twitter and Instagram @lightandalchemy. Cheers.
Thanks, Ben. That was an amazing talk. I know you have inspired some of our viewers to go create some incredible stuff. I love how we enable creators like in so many different ways, and it's the reason I joined Unity. So there are a ton of questions, and I will.
All right.
And hopefully we can get to as many as we can, but unfortunately we might not make it through all of them. I'll just start in order. The first one, Peggy asks, can you use Unity for live event broadcasting to make simultaneous live mix for the feeds for each user? Pick the people, the shot, the camera, the way you want. both like in the way you described with assets, but also with a live event broadcasting, say like a motion capture?
I mean, yes. It depends. So this we're getting to the weeds a bit, but yeah, it depends. I mean, out of the box, I mean, you need some third-party technology, but I think that's really kind of where we excel at is we are a development platform, and if we haven't built that tech, I'm sure a third party has. So to answer your question, pretty much everybody is doing everything you can imagine. And when I see things on the internet, I'm like, how do they do this with what? But yeah, people are using us, and we have a lot of partners with companies like Disguise is a partner, someone we partner with. They do like LED panels and real-time events, and they do broadcasts, and they do remote education. And yeah, everybody's using everything for everything. And like I said, Lion King was built. The platform for Lion King was built using Unity and Ready Player One and Jungle Book and films like that. Does that answer the question? It was kind of vague.
No, I think that's great.
If I didn't answer your question too, you have my email, benra@unity3d.com. It's memorable. So I can help you with specific solutions if you need help with them.
Totally. So the next question is from Juan. And he said, thanks for the engaging talk. He said, what are your thoughts about ray tracing tech and new graphics APIs like Vulkan, which is a standardized ray tracing? He just kind of asked, what's the vision of Unity Technologies in this regard, and with a focus on potentially virtual production?
I think everything's going towards, when I see I was blown away by that NVIDIA. We all were blown away by that Marble demo in NVIDIA, right? We have an RTX ray tracing solution, so we're, using that more and more. Big Dinosaur used RTX. I'm a film guy. I love path tracers. I like area lights with soft shadows. So I'm all about, RTX. We'll see. It's all about NVIDIA and how that technology goes. I don't know. I'm sorry. What was the question? I'll just ramble. What is the future? We do have a future for it, and we also have an experimental path tracer too. So if you want to play with that today, and I know a lot of our industry customers are using that, where we're doing car configurators with real time. I can send you, if you message me, I can send you a RTX demo on our streaming platform where we did last year. We did a BMW commercial where we did like a little demo where we ray traced a car. But I think, especially in industry, car configurators are using ray tracing. As things get streaming, it's becoming more and more accessible. I want it for my creative projects. And yeah, I don't know if that helps. But we got all the bases covered.
Oh, that's great. That's absolutely perfect. I'm very excited about the RTX tech as well. So the next question is, how would you compare Unity with other tech engines, so with other game engines for virtual production?
This is always the question I'm asked. For us, I think, what I try to emphasize to everyone is we're not just a game engine. A game engine is just a part of what we do. It's everything else that is exciting in conjunction with the game engine. So we are a full-blown tech company, and that's where it gets exciting with us because of our cloud computing and our machine learning divisions. Is we can incorporate all the simulation technology into these worlds that we're building, and I think that's how do we build. How does one person, and I think that's one thing I meant to touch on, which I didn't say, is like, what excites me about Unity is, you see like us, like if you want to build a PC game, that's great. And I think a lot of game engines are made for making games. They're made by game companies and for making games, and those games are great. But we are a full technologies like solution, and we're trying to enable creators to build worlds. And when you incorporate all these technologies, that's where how does one person build Red Dead Redemption? Is kind of an exciting thing. And you see all these YouTube playlists of like top 10 Unity games made by one person. And there's hundreds of them, and they're amazing. I love that First Tree. And if you guys have seen that GDC talk where one guy in his off hours made his own game. So what excites me is like for content creation is, when do we have that list of like top 10 animated series made by one person, or top 10 animated features made by one person? And I think it's when we combine all these different technologies, we're going to get to that vision. I want to see, and creation in an engine, like making a graphic novel, like why can't I tell this engaging, rich story across all media as one person? That got a little crazy. Sorry.
No, that's great. I love how inspired you are. Oleg asked a question on, he said the MIAM animation is really impressive. The production should differ from the traditional animation production, especially on the pre-production stage. What would you suggest to artists to learn to be better prepared for this production, the new production pipeline?
I think that's, yeah. Oh, and now I'm thinking of all the things I wanted to say in my talk, but I forgot. I got nervous. I think that's everything's disrupted. I think that like everything there is no waterfall process anymore of like I make my previs, I shoot my movie, I show it at 9 a.m. to dailies, I take my notes, I show it at 9 a.m. dailies. On that Baymax streams, my colleague was working with the director and he says that cycle of creating content and previs, the line between previs and final render is gone. And he said like he was blocking cameras and the director sat up behind him and put a mirror on his desk so he could just basically look at his thing to see what it was because he was looking at final render. So I started off as a generalist as a TD, and then I kind of gravitated towards like lighting. And now I see this generalist world, and now that's where I'm getting back to. So to prep yourself, I mean, play with these technologies, whether it be motion capture. I think everything's accessible. You don't need to have a $20,000 or $2,000 motion capture suit. They give the libraries away for free. So you can take these libraries of motion capture and you can take these assets and retarget the animation and you can start end to end learning this entire process, from home, which I think that's exciting is you don't need to go to a fancy school. Everything I do on a 1,800-pound laptop at home. So does that answer your question? And what do you need to do? Prepare yourself, follow me on Twitter and take that journey with me next year. I'm going to be going end to end with you. I'm going to document my entire 2021 of everything next year, recording audio, capturing motion capture, lighting, rendering, effects. I'm going to just take everyone. That's my goal for next year is to upskill as many VFX refugees like myself.
That's great, Ben. So Oliver, I'm going to skip ahead a few questions, and just so that each person gets to ask at least one question. So Oliver asks, this was pretty much through the lens of the producers of content, and look great also for amateurs. But his question is, what is it in for the consumer of the content? How does real-time help, and specifically in regards to social media?
Well, that's a complex one. But from the producer, you can call me a producer. I don't know if I'm offended or not. I'm a technical director by trade. What it means is richer stories, more unique content. I do a lot of work with, differing regions in Middle East and Kenya and Nigeria and do you guys know about Nollywood? It's one of the biggest film markets in the world, but we don't know about it. It's very regional. And I think internet and streaming technologies and distribution platforms is bringing these stories to the people all over the world. But I think we crave stories. This is what my old colleagues over at Autodesk, and he gave a keynote. And he's like, we crave rich experiences and stories. But I think it's true. We're out of stories. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of the cookie cutter buddy comedy, 3-act structure, dead parents, cute animal sidekick. I think what content creators or people who write original stories of graphic novels and then tell these stories, you need now to get like these big studio budgets and Comic-Con and all that, where I think now, like with Pixie the Fox, I think we're enabling people to tell their stories, their regional stories that resonate with them. We don't want to push California and Hollywood on everyone, and I think that's enabling stories to tell stories that resonate with them and their people. I know just from my own experience, I'm an American, but I lived in UK for 5 years. I lived in Asia 8 years. My wife is Chinese. We watched Mulan last night. My wife was beside herself. And it's like, this is American Mulan. This isn't Mulan. And, why do we need Hollywood to provide us stories? Like, why can't, so I think all this technology will enable people to tell more authentic stories.
Yeah, I really think you're getting that, especially at Netflix with a lot more like foreign content being distributed, which is amazing.
I think it's all about authenticity, just to say, and back to social media, I think it's all about authenticity, and you don't need to sell your story. Like, I think that's how it doesn't get more authentic than Nathan and his son telling a story for his son and then sharing that with the world.
Definitely. Oh, that's great, Ben. Another question from Oleg. So he's asking in regards to Nathan Thomas's Big Dinosaur. And do you think Unity can be used to create real-time animations just by kids? What kind of tools they need to learn for that? One example I'll give is Scratch for Unity. That's something that's made by MIT. That's pretty popular. But do you have any other thoughts?
Oh my God, there's a documentary. I've been trying to re-find it. I watched this documentary on Scratch, and I might have this wrong. So if someone's out there with Scratch, but what I took away from this documentary, that Scratch wasn't about learning programming. It was about teaching and learning, and it was about that system of like blocks and all that. So, and they believe they had 4-year-olds learning Scratch in this documentary I saw. I might have that wrong. Don't hate me if I do. But I think that's, what these tools are is, like, I mean, these tools are coming, like someone just put a new face cap system, a new, real-time emoji using face capture. So I think these tools are getting easier and easier, and these, people are telling these stories. That's why tools like Tavori are amazing, where you can, and kids can get in and they don't need to learn about, IKs and splines to animate. They can just grab these digital puppets. Like, I think that's what's exciting, is all these different input devices of, I would just work with so many creators all over the world. Like, some people make their own puppet rigs, and some people use, Xbox controllers, as a full virtual production and puppetry solution. I work with this company that does, puppetry via Xbox controller, and they control it. And it's not, because it's not about sophistication, and it's not about, you don't have to have Pixar quality performance, or Nathan is a world-class animator. You don't need to have these Disney quality performances. It's all about just, telling stories and making them funny, and having that spontaneity and humor, kind of like a live, improv skit. So I think, and to kids, I'm already sizing my 2-year-old daughter up for a mocap suit. That's like my dream, is to get her. My dream is to do what Nathan does, and to get her in a mocap studio, record her audio, and help her tell her stories. I love those things where you take the kids' drawings from the crayon drawings, and like fantasy illustrators will make these super realistic characters from like their child's refrigerator drawings. And I kind of want to see that in 3D across all media.
Okay, so we only have 1 minute left, but hopefully we can squeeze in the last question.
All right, let's talk.
Which is the bottleneck nowadays of the personalized content creation, in your opinion? This is from Juan.
I think it's asset creation, ish. I think photoreal assets, I think we're to the point now where you can scan the world, you have LiDAR, and you can create photoreal content, but to create stylized content, I think that it takes now longer to make cartoony content than it does to make photoreal content. And I'm finding that. And I think Spider-Verse, is an amazing thing of like, I'm more inspired by Spider-Verse than I am by, movies I worked on, like Jungle Book, which, was amazing, but it's like Quixel mega scans and photogrammetry. But like, I think stylized content, like in the world, like a Miyazaki like world, I think creating that stylized content is tedious and hard, expensive.
Yeah, I absolutely loved what ImageWorks did with Spider-Man. They did some they really progressed the field drastically. So we'll have to end here. And thanks again, Ben, for your amazing talk. And to everybody else, as Ben mentioned, his direct messages are open on Twitter. So, don't wait to reach out or, debate about it. People are more accessible like Ben. And the best way you can do to progress in your own content creation is to reach out to people like Ben and ask him for advice. And he's definitely amazing in that regard. And thanks for coming and taking your time to chat with us today.
That was great. Please message me, follow me on Twitter, #RealtimeRascals, #RoadToRealtime. Come on that journey with me next year.
Thanks again, Ben.
Cheers.